Okay, so in previous lecture, we have studied some of the commands of 2D. In today's lecture, we will study the remaining commands. Let's start with some of the commands of the sketching that were left. The first one is offset. So offset means that if you have got any entity and you want to regenerate that entity at a certain distance, you can use an offset command for that. Let's suppose I have drawn a simple rectangle. You can change the dimensions accordingly by right clicking here, entering the value, and then clicking on OK. Again, you can change the dimensions from here. Let's suppose it to be 200. Okay, so now I want to either regenerate the whole entity again at certain particular distance, or I can also specify a side or a chain that I want to offset. For that, click on the offset. Once you click on offset, this box will appear which shows single, chain and loop. If you want to offset a single side, click on the single. If you want to offset more than two sides or two sides, you click on the chain. And if you want the entire entity to get offsetted, you click on the loop. As single is already selected, so I will click on a single side. Let's suppose I want to offset this particular side. I will right click on it. Once I right click on it, you can see an arrowhead has been appeared, and here the box says enter offset in the direction of the arrow. So you have to enter the particular distance at which you want this specific side to get offsetted. Let it be 33, enter 33. So now this side will be offsetted in the direction of arrow at a distance of 33. Click on the OK. So here you can see that this side has been offsetted at a distance of 33. Click on close from here. So this is how single side offset works. Let's get back. If, for example, I want to offset more than two sides, click on the chain from here, select one side, let's suppose this be, and select the second side. So this means that either in the clockwise direction these three sides will be offsetted, or in the counterclockwise direction these three sides will be offsetted. Click on the accept. An arrowhead has been appeared and it asks enter offset in the direction of arrow. Let's suppose that again be 33. Click on OK. So you can see that these three sides has been offsetted. We can just close the dimensions from here and the constraints to see it clearly. So 1, 2 and 3, these three sides has been offsetted and this side is not offsetted. Click on the close. Now if you want this side and this side to get offsetted, for that just delete this one again, click on the offset, select chain, click the first side and the second side. Now click on the next and then accept. Enter the offset in the direction of the arrow. Let's suppose that be 33 and OK. Now you can see that these three sides have been offsetted. Click on the close. Okay, back again. If I want to offset the complete entity, click on the offset. On the loop, select any one side and enter offset in the direction of the arrow. In the direction of arrow means that the offset will be generated in this direction. If you want the offset to be generated in the opposite direction, put a minus sign before entering any particular value. Let that be 33 again. Click on OK. So now you can see that this particular entity has been offsetted in the opposite direction of the arrowhead because I have entered a minus sign before the value. Click on close. So this is how your offset works. Let's delete this. Make it parallel again. Now the second option is thicken, so that is just exactly the same as the offset with little modifications. In thicken, your desired side or entity will be offsetted as well as thickened. Let's see how it works. Let's suppose I have got a single line chain. I want to get it thicken, so click on thicken. Again the same box appears which says select thickness, it be single. So for single, that means you have to select a single side. For chain, two or more than two sides, and for loop, entire entity. Here also comes select end caps, which means that when the particular entity is thickened, how should its ends look like? Either it be open, flat, or circular. Let's suppose it be open. Click on the entity, enter the thickness now. Let's suppose I want the line to be 3 inches thick. Click on the stick. Now enter the offset in the direction of arrow. Let it be 33. Enter OK. So you can see that this line has been offsetted as well as thickened. Now to zoom in its end sides, which shows that these are joined by open caps, so we can see that its ends are open. So that is how this open works. If you want this to be joined by a flat line or a circular, you can select that particular command from here and then click on close. Okay, let's get back and check the circular one. Click on the thicken, on single and on circular. Click on the side, enter thickness, enter offset. Okay. Now if I zoom it, you can see that its ends are connected by a circular portion. So this is how its ends look like when you select circular from here and then click on close. So this is how thicken works. You can also thicken an entire entity. Let's delete this, and let's suppose we have got a single rectangle as we did in the offset. Click on the thicken and the loop, and let's suppose that we open, select this, enter thickness, let it be 3 again, enter thickness in the direction of the arrow. So let's suppose we want it to be negative. So this is how it gets thickened as well as offsetted at the same time. So you can use the thicken and the offset commands to regenerate the same entity or a desired part of it without going back into the rectangular commands or the line command. So this is how it works. Okay, to delete it, select all and press delete button. Again, to make it parallel. Okay, now we have got a palette, so double click on it. Once you double click on it, you can see that sketcher palette appears here, and it has got a number of options, that is polygons, profiles, shapes and stars. In polygons, we have got from 3-sided triangle to 20-sided polygon, and then we have different profiles, different shapes and different stars. So if you need to draw any among these, you don't need to go into the line commands or rectangle commands or circular or whatever is required. You simply have to click on the palette, click on the desired shape that you want to insert. Let's suppose I want to insert a pentagon. Click on it, drag and release here. So a pentagon will be generated here. You can change its size accordingly. Click on the dimensions and the constraints to be shown. Now you can see that, double click on this to change its size. Let's suppose it be 77. Click on OK. So its size has been regenerated. So this is how it works. Similarly, you can also change the size from here. Let's suppose it be 88. So you can change the size from here. You can also change the angle either by right clicking and rotating this, or by clicking and entering a value here. Let's suppose it to be 22. So you can see that it has been placed at an angle of 22. You can also change by double clicking here and entering the desired value. So this is how you can do this. Then click on, let's suppose I want this to be at 33 degrees and the size should be 88. So click on OK and close this. So this is how your pentagon looks like. If you wanted to make it with the line, it would be time consuming. So the easy way is to import it from here. In order to delete it, select and click on delete. Again, let's suppose I click on the palette and I want to insert a specific star, so I can go directly into the stars and import. Right click, drag and release here. Change the size, change the angle, click on close and OK. So this is how your star looks like. So that is very much time saving. You can click on the palette and import the already drawn shapes. Select and delete. Okay, so this was all about sketching. Now some of the commands of editing were also discussed in the previous lecture, so we will just look into that. The first one is rotate resize. So that is just the same as we have seen in the palette. For example, if you've got any shape and you want to resize it or you want to rotate it, so click on rotate and resize. You can resize it from here and you can rotate it from here. So this is how rotate and resize works. Then click on OK. So this is how it works. To delete, select and click on delete button. Now let's just go into the mirror command, which is most important of all. The mirror command is used to mirror the selected entities. That means that if you have already drawn certain entities and you want to draw that again, you don't need to draw that again. You simply need to mirror that against a center line. For mirror, center line is very must. If you haven't drawn center line, so your objects will not be mirrored. For example, I select a single center line and draw it here. Okay. Now let's suppose I have made a rectangle here and a circle here. And let's suppose the circle be here. I want all of these three entities to appear on the other side as well. So one option that I have got is that I will again go into the rectangle command, draw it here, change the dimensions according to these, give the space according to this, and then into the circle again and the circle again. But here now, if I need to mirror all of these, I have to select all these three entities, click on the mirror and then on the center line. Once you click on the center line, you can see that all of these entities are mirrored on the other side. So this is how mirror command works. You don't need to draw again. You simply need to mirror the objects that you want again. Okay, just simply let's delete this and this. For example, I have got another line commands. Let's suppose it to be like this. I want the same entities to be appearing on the other side. So what I will do is select all of these entities, click on the mirror, click on the center line, so they will be mirrored on the other side. So this is how mirror command works. In order to delete it, just simply get back or click on it and press the delete button. This is how mirror command works. So that was all about the editing tool. Now let's move to different constraints that we have got. These are very simple. The first constraint is vertical, so that means that it will make your particular line vertical if it isn't vertical. For example, if I have drawn a certain line and I want this to become vertical, I will click on the vertical and on this particular line, so it will become vertical. Later on, you can adjust the dimensions accordingly. Again, I have got a particular line and I want this line to become horizontal. I will click on the horizontal and on the particular line, so it will become horizontal. So this is how, if you're not sure that your particular line is vertical or horizontal, so you can simply click on the constraint and apply on it, so it will become vertical or horizontal accordingly. To delete, select and press on delete button. Same is the case with perpendicular. For example, I have got one line horizontal and when it has certain specific angle, I want this line to become perpendicular to this line. I will select perpendicular, the first line and the second line, so it will become perpendicular to it. Later on, you can adjust the dimensions accordingly. Now we have got tangent, so that is simple again. Let's suppose I have got a simple circle and a line. I want this line to be tangent to the circle. I will select tangent, the line and the circle, so it will become tangent to that. You can adjust the dimensions later on. Let's delete all this. Click on the delete segment, pass the line from all the objects that you want to delete and press OK. Okay, so now comes the midpoint. For example, I have got a simple line and I want to make a circle right at its center. So one idea is that I will change its dimension. Let's suppose it to be 500 initially. So I know that the midpoint of it would be lying somewhere at 250, so I will identify the 250 where 250 appears, and then I will draw the circle there. The second option is that you simply click on the point and place it somewhere here. You can adjust the dimensions from here, change it to 250, and you will get it right in the center. The other thing that you can do is click on the midpoint, on the point, and on the center line, on the line, so it will automatically move into the middle of the line. So you don't need to change the dimensions, you simply have to click on the point and the line and it will move into its center. Let's suppose I've got a single rectangle and a point somewhere here. I want this point to be at the center of this line, so I will click on the midpoint, on the point and on the center line, so it will move into its center. So this is how midpoint works. Now you can draw your desired circle at the midpoint here. Simply click on the center and circle. The point will be detected and you can draw your circle accordingly. So this is how it works. To delete, select delete segment and pass it through all the lines that you have drawn. If the points aren't getting deleted, select and click on delete. So this was how the midpoint works. Now comes the coincident. So if you want certain entities to get coincident with the other entities, you can select the coincident. For example, we have got a simple line and a circle. I want the circle to be coincident on this line, so I will select coincident, the circle and the line, so it will be coincident on it. So this is how the coincident command works. For example, I have got a simple rectangle. I want this side to get coincident to this side, so I will select coincident, this side and this side, so it will get coincident to it. You can change its placement by right clicking here and moving it accordingly, or you can also change the dimensions from here. So this is how coincident command works. To delete, select all and press delete button. Now let's move to the symmetric. So that means that if you have got a center line and you want a certain object to be symmetric about that line, you can use the symmetric command. Let's suppose I've got a center line and a rectangle somewhere here. I want this rectangle to be symmetric about the center line. So I will click on the symmetric on the first point, on the center line and on the second. So it will be placed at the center, equal in distance on both the sides. Just look at it again. A simple rectangle. Click on the symmetric on the first side. Click on the symmetric first side, the center line and the second side, so it will get symmetric against the center line. So this is how symmetric command works. To delete, select all and press delete button. Now the equal entity, which means that if you have got certain circles and you want all of them to be of equal radii, click on the equal, the first circle, the second circle and the third circle, so they all will become equal. You can see R1 being appearing on all of these. So that means now you need to change the dimensions of only one circle, and it will be applied to all of these circles. So this is how it works: the first circle, the second circle, and the third circle. If you need to change its dimensions, let's suppose it be, okay, double click on it, let's suppose it be 33. So you can see that the diameter of all the three circles have been changed because we have applied an equal constraint on it, which means that all of them are treated as equal. So this is how it works. Same is the case with lines. For example, if you have got different line, let's suppose this be one line, this be the second line, this be the third line, and you want all of these lines to be equal, click on the equal command, the first line, the second line, and the third line. So all of these will become equal, and L1, L1, L1 it will appear on all of these lines. That means you need to change the length of only one line, and the length of all other lines will be changed accordingly. Okay, so delete, select and delete, and pass it through all the lines. Okay, so the last constraint that we have got is parallel, which means that it will be making the lines parallel. Let's suppose we have got these two lines and we want them to be parallel. Click on the parallel command, the first line and the second line, so they will become parallel to one another. Again, let's suppose we have got this line and this line and we want them to be parallel. Click on the parallel, the first line and the second line, so they will become parallel to each other. So this is how parallel command works. So these were all the constraints that you need. Now just move into the normal. That means that if you have got you can see that you are already given certain amount of dimensions, but if you consider those dimensions to be insufficient, you can also use the normal command to generate the dimensions where it's necessary. For example, let's say I've got a simple rectangle and a line somewhere here and a circle here, a point here, or let's suppose it to be here. And if a certain dimensions aren't given, let's suppose I'm not given the dimension of this side, so what I will do is click on the normal, this point, and move to the right and click on the scroller. So you can see that you have generated your own dimensions. Now you can modify it accordingly. Again, let's suppose I want to check the dimensions of this point from this side, so you have to click on the normal, the first side, the second side, and move somewhere there, click on the scroller, so you can see that you have generated your own dimensions. So this is how you can generate the dimensions which aren't given. So this is how dimensions work. In order to delete, select all and click on the delete button. Okay, so this was about the 2D sketching. Let's just simply go through one of the examples. Let's suppose I want to make this entity. You have got a number of methods to do this. Either you can use line commands, circular commands, arc. Either you can use the mirror command because you have got a center line and you can see that it is just the same on both the sides. So let's just do it by using a mirror command. You can see that all the dimensions are very small. So what we will do is to multiply all of these dimensions by 100 so that we don't need to keep on zooming in after every entity or after every line that we draw. So let's suppose this dimension is 500, this is 80, this is 300, this is 780, this is 200, this is 200, and this is 600. So we will consider these dimensions that they are all multiplied by 100 and we will do it accordingly. Okay, so how am I going to start it? I need to place a center line first because I will be needing to mirror this part against this center line at the end. So simply draw a center line. Okay, just check if your dimensions and constraints are checked in or not. They're checked in, so that is okay. Now you need to make only this portion because you will be mirroring it at the end. So from this point to this point, the distance would be 250 because the hole is 500. So we will considering from this point to this point, so that will be 250. Draw a single line of 250 inches. Change the dimensions from 296 to 250. Okay. Then we are required to move 80 inches downward and 80 inches on this and at this side and 300 inches upward. 80 inches downward, 80 towards this side because these dimensions are also given, which are 80, and 300 in upward direction. Click on the line chain, click here, and here change the dimensions from 110 to 80. Okay, again line chain from here to here, and that is 80, and from this point to there, and that is 300. Okay, so we have made this part. Now we can see that a center or a circle has been placed at a distance of 780 inches from the baseline. So we will be drawing it from here to there at a distance of 780. Or you can see that as this dimension is 80, so that means that from this point to this point our distance is 700 inches. So we will simply place a point at a distance of 700 from this. Click on here, change the dimensions from 315 to 700 and click on OK. Now we have got a circle having a diameter of 200, which means we have to draw an arc either, or we will draw a circle and delete its this side because we will be mirroring it at later. You can either use an arc command or a circle command. Let's do it with the circle command. 200 diameter. Center end point. Circle, adjust its dia to 200. And delete its this portion because we don't need this side. So click on delete segment and delete this portion because we will be mirroring it at the end, so we don't need anything on this side. Now we have to draw an arc having a radii of 2, which means 200. So you simply have to place an arc which is having a radius of 200. So you can use center and arc. Zoom in so that we can see it somewhere here and change its radius to 200. Okay. If it isn't getting changed, so simply delete this and draw it with the help of a circle. Center end point, place it here. Make a circle. Adjust its dimensions to 400 dia. Okay. And delete some of the parts that are required to get deleted. Delete this side And further, you're required to delete this portion too. So we will delete that later. We will just first put this arc that is having a radii of 600. So select 3 point, the first point and the second point. Place it somewhere here and adjust it to 600. Now delete this arc from here. Okay, this is what we have got. Just switch off this so we can clearly see it. Now you can see that this is just the same as this side of the figure. Now we need to mirror it so we can get the complete figure. Select this all, click on the mirror command and click on the center line. So you can see that it is mirrored to the other side. So this is how it works. If it is showing red dots there, that means you need to zoom in here. And you can see that there are 2 lines, so you need to delete one of the lines. Okay, same is the case with this side. Delete this side, that is okay. So this is how it works. Oh yes, so this is how you can make any particular object with the help of mirror command. You can also display the dimensions and see how it works. Display the constraints and display the vertices or whatever you want. So you can do this with the help of mirror command. Now you're required to make this with the help of mirror command. You have previously practiced it with the help of line and circle commands. Now you can just make this part of it, simply mirror it, and you will get the complete entire figure. Thank you so much.